Chris, hold on. Hey Dora, it's Michael from Virginia. Please give me a call when you can, thanks. I have an issue with an iPad. Maybe you'll know. We got a little beard growing there. Not sure. Ever since you go to the mountains out west, right? Yeah. So I turn it on, and we go to Roy Wheeler Edmond, right? Goes automatically. That will just spin forever. And it's not just here, it's everywhere. So for some reason, it's something's in the setting is not allowing it to make a connection. Yeah, sure. Which password did you just put in there?
Since 1927.
Yeah, it's not just here in this password, it's wherever I try to hook up these days. It's just trying to call tech support last time the job.
Does it ever connect to the internet?
No. Hey, Michael.
Well, sir, how are you?
It doesn't. It just keeps doing that on the gold letters.
Chris, did you get your scan document I sent you?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Hey there. Sitting in the dark. You guys didn't help, right? Okay, good.
Great question. The last thing you turn it off, turn it back on.
And how do you do that?
Good question, actually. Let's hear it.
And it hasn't been a while. Reset, right?
Yeah.
Come on, baby. You can turn back on. We'll allow it. How's it going?
It's going all right.
What's the matter?
Busy week. Yeah, it's a lot of outside of work problems. Cars breaking down.
No, you're kidding.
And compressors seized up, so I worked on that for like 6 hours last night.
Compressor in your car?
And my fiance's car, yeah, the CRV.
AC?
Yeah,
AC?
AC compressor seized up.
You fixed it yourself?
Mhm.
Wow, I'm impressed. Saved yourself $500 there.
1,600 actually is what they quoted.
What
Yeah,
kind of car is it?
just 2004 CRV. I had to take the compressor off.
That would have been $1,600.
And took the entire front end off to get to it. Oh, and replaced the condenser too. Because the dryer isn't.
Come on, boys, we got. This one problem at a time. Look at that.
Thank you.
You're all right.
I'm not sure what caused the initial problem, but there's how you fix it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why I've been dealing with this for 2 weeks, and I'm surprised at myself because I'm the one usually preaching the Windows app just reset. So that was
It's a simple thing.
thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem.
So compressor in your car and in your girlfriend's car. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. What's going on? Just trying, because I can't do that work. I'll be living in an apartment complex. I have to go to my stepdad's garage to use his tools and stuff. He lives out in Green. Just got the 2 dogs I have to take care of too. And I'm working, and then I have another. I do like freelance stuff every now and then. So I got a job right now. I'm helping this guy.
Freelance,
Freelance, like freelance work. Yeah.
IT work.
No, this is more graphic design. He's publishing a book, and he wants me to help. Well, I'm helping him design the front and back cover for it.
So that's pretty cool. It's very good work. Is that one of your first loves?
Kind of. Yeah. Just do it for extra money or anything, but it's just a lot of, not enough hours in the day.
Welcome to my
Well, I
world.
got 4-day weekend coming up, so hopefully catch up and get going then.
Are you working Monday?
They gave us all Friday for free.
You know what, they should, but it's funny, most of the companies I deal with, they have a job, they're all open Monday,
Yeah,
including that company I work
really.
for. And, I know it's because they know everybody's gonna take it anyway, but they want it to cost you vacation day. All kinds of companies.
Yeah.
So it's nice when,
Just give it to you.
yeah,
Yeah, it's nice. Or if they didn't do that, just give us the Monday off and then we work on Tuesday. That would make more sense, but. Yeah.
thank you, man. Hey, how are you?
Starts at 10.
How's it going?
Busy summer.
That's a good thing.
It is.
Good morning.
How are you?
How's it going in Waynesboro?
A little bit more activity now, middle of the summer. Two open houses next Sunday. So,
We have a lot of houses over there. I don't know.
I do one a month.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no real other way other than advertising that I've found over in Williamsburg to hope that some nosy neighbors or anybody comes in, really. It's definitely slower over there now.
As an answer, to do some of those tricks that we talked about in here, that Mike was,
It depends on what tricks you're talking about.
I was talking about sending notices to the neighborhood.
Yeah, I did, and surprisingly, I'd say that it doesn't have much of an effect.
Well,
So I've given up on the postcard route for Waynesboro. It's too hit or miss.
do you do that?
A lot more miss. That's a lot of postage.
Yeah, I have not.
Now, I love that strategy once you sold something to send this property just sold. I have heard
I've done
that then that works. Do you find that
that.
works?
I feel like there's more.
The likelihood. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, in other words, just say this house just sold
It
and
depends on which, it depends. I think every situation you have to approach and do the same things for, and then depending on the area, you might have to do different things. But I'm trying to treat every listing the same, do the same thing for each person. Of course, if I got a $1 million listing, I'd have to do a lot of different things, but, the same basic things for each, But,
do you live in Williamsburg?
I do not. They're both family friends that I got these listings from, so, a great learning experience at a price point that isn't breaking my back, stressing about. So, just thinking about you this morning.
Thought I was gonna get to see your husband the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I guess you guys are part of that Seaville Gibbs, and I did a radio show on it. And Tyler Boland and Maggie Thornton
Yeah.
and Mike were supposed to be there, and for some reason Mike never showed. And Todd tried to call him, and his phone was off.
When was this?
Wednesday, what's the day? Thursday? Tuesday at 2.
Huh.
So anyway, it's going to air a week from Saturday.
Cool.
Oh, you pre-record your shows?
Sometimes, because a lot of folks aren't that interested in coming in and being with me on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. They got other things that they want to do. So like, as an example, tomorrow, Saturday, I'm lucky enough to have Dave Stevens, who's the CEO and president of the Mortgage Bankers Association. Probably my highest profile guest. And I'm grateful. I mean, he's on Squawk Box, he's on MSNBC, and here he takes half an hour and does my show with me, just because of our long-standing friendship. But he's testifying in front of some Senate panel today.
Wow.
On FHA and Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and getting that out of receivership and that kind of thing. So anyway.
So what was the focus of that?
4 things. How Ben Carson's doing as the HUD secretary. He's incredibly impressed with the grasp that Ben Carson has already gotten in regards to what.
Interesting.
So that Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, trying to get them out of the government. And the government controls them, they're in receivership, even though they've paid all the money back that the government gave them to bail them out before. It's just really, really important that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac not be a government-regulated industry.
Visual subject.
Tax reform, what he thinks, how it could impact if the standard deduction gets doubled.
When will the show air?
Saturday at 10. And then, if you just remind me after Saturday, you can do it yourself. If you miss it on Saturday, for those of you that are listening, if you're here, WINA.com, go to podcasts, go to Real Estate Matters, and then click on Real Estate Matters. You'll see the archive of all the shows. In fact, after the 1 year's week from Saturday. The hope is, what I try to do is create shows. Dave doesn't matter days. He's got 1 million people in his LinkedIn network. Well, I mean, he has that kind of far-reaching impact. But as an example, for Tyler and Mike and Maggie in this Seville Gibbs scenario, they now have a 24-minute, after that show airs, they have a 24-minute infomercial about Seville Gibbs. And so somebody reaches out to Sarah and says, hey, I understand you're involved in this. What is it about? She can just send them an email with the link. And they can listen to exactly what it is, how people got started, how much fun it is, maybe what's bad about going to happy hour once a month at a bar, and listen to some nonprofit talk about what they're doing in the community. And then,
Is that what it is?
and at the end of the year, they have this big meeting, and they've raised all this money, and they choose one nonprofit to give, like last year, City of Promise, that gave over $20,000. So instead of Sarah or me giving $100, $200,
It's all different.
also different. It's a big chunk that really makes a difference to that particular nonprofit at that point. So I thought that was going to be Saturday, but then when I got Dave on and knew my stuff was going to be pretty current, I had to email Tyler and say, we're going to push this back a week. That's why I tell you it's not Saturday. Don't say anything about the weather. Don't say anything about whatever. And then last week, I had Keith Davis from Nest and Michael Blackmore from Mount Montgomery talking. They're both car leaders in regards to emerging technologies, MLS and stuff. We talked about MLS and new trends in technology and how it's impacting the real estate market. And
I gotta get tuned into this show.
so it's fun. I thought I'd do it for a year, and I'm now working on it. Still isn't nationally syndicated, which is my joke all the time. Hey, we're talking about buyers, working with buyers, and what I figured yesterday when I did listings, I realized that, one, for those of you who are tuning in, if you tried to tune in yesterday, sorry, we had internet issues in here. The guru, Chris, fixed it yesterday. So hopefully we're in good shape again. But if you got there, I'm sorry, because obviously it didn't get recorded. So we can't even watch it. But what we realized in doing the listings thing is it's going to take 2 or 3 sessions to go through all the material. So you'll see when we do the July calendar, there'll be listing tips number 2. And I'm thinking the same thing's going to happen with buyers. And just as a reminder, the roadmap for success, the information that if you're watching online and you got email, this is all coming out of the roadmap for success manual, this 80-page document that has all this information. And if you don't have it, email Megan, because she's got the most updated copy, updated as of yesterday copy, in fact, because we've had some mistakes in the stuff that I was talking about yesterday. So she's corrected that, and it's an update, not big mistakes, but, and then as we have different things, like I'm going to give you something here in a minute, and I'll get Megan to add that in. And so every time we do that, you have the opportunity to have an updated copy that's just emailed to you, and then it's really nice. And this morning I went in, up to the table of contents, printed out pages 60 to 67 on buyers. And that's the same thing you do. You're getting ready to work with a buyer, you're getting ready to work with a seller. You want to be reminded of some things. Then you just table of contents, go to that, and look at what it is, pricing a home effectively, working with a buyer, whatever the case would be. You've got the reminders of it there. The other thing, just as a reminder again, is we have paid for you to be able to use the Leading Real Estate Counseling World Institute. And that has all sorts of 7 to 10 minute videos on every topic that you can imagine. They even now have, and we're going to start working toward that, they have a new agent syllabus that they self-directed new age syllabus. So you get all this from us 2 or 3 times a week, but you can supplement what you're learning through this new agent syllabus. So we're going to combine that. Chris is working on doing that syllabus right now. So a lot of really neat things going on. And, yesterday we talked about listings and we talked about listing presentations, which we'll get into more in the next session. But Chris has created this new online listing presentation, which is going to be a really cool thing. And you can get with him and he can add another bubble there are 5 bubbles that you click on, and it gives you why Roy Wheeler or how we market a listing or whatever. And he can add a bubble that has your personal information, so that when you're going through it with somebody, you can actually email it to them and talk to them on the phone. It might be an out-of-town seller. Hey, I'm going to send this to you. We're going to go through this together. And you're sitting there and walking through that with it. And if you're really fancy, you can set up your own GoToMeeting account, and you can use that. You can take control of their computer, which I think is a pretty cool thing, and send that to them, see that it's open up on their thing, and then you're clicking and controlling as they're looking at that. So really trying to do a lot of different things, electronic newsletter, that kind of thing. But anyway, today we're talking about buyers, and I don't think, we probably won't get to it, but this came up yesterday. And you, if you're listening, email me, and I'll send this to you as well. But this came up yesterday with an agent in regards to somebody who said, hey, I don't need you. I'm going to buy a new home, and therefore I don't need an agent. Well, that's absolutely not true. But the misnomer is I can go in there, I can negotiate a price, and it's going to be less because they're not paying a realtor. That's just not the case. And so what I've done is I've created a little 2-pager, page and a half, something that you guys can read through and then put into your own words. And we're going to use this month in our Facebook business page posting. We're going to put it in on the blog, on the website. We've started doing an online article in the Daily Progress. They've got a new online real estate deal. And we're doing these sort of, we pay for them, but we're actually having articles placed in there from us. And then this will also be the lead article for the newsletter that we'll send out, this week, the June, July, whatever we call it. I think last time we called it May. I think I'd rather move it forward and call it the July newsletter versus, because June's already over. Anyway, the point of this is that this came up yesterday, and somebody asked me to walk through it, so I actually wrote something up. And this is, hopefully that'll be helpful to you. And that'll go into the buyer section of the roadmap for success. I'll send this to you.
You also put me on the list of sending this to your link. If you're sending it to people on.
Oh, it's sent to everybody.
Okay.
Oh, that digitally. Oh, yeah, I can do that. Sure. And I thought you were saying you are getting everything from Debbie. Okay, great. I thought you were meaning that you're not getting
No, I
anything.
meant this.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
And the roadmap is in Dropbox too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We just added that into Dropbox as well. So if you don't know what that is.
I did.
Okay, good. Okay, so when we talk about buyers, and just kind of like what we started yesterday with sellers, I think it's important to understand that you need to have buyers to work with them. So when we talk about working with buyers, the first thing on your mind is how am I going to get them? And you need to, have in your business plan, have in your daily activities, ways of generating new buyer or seller leads. And there's a lot of different ways of doing that. You may decide to invest a little money in Zillow, or hopefully you're with listings, knowing that you're going to have listings, you're signing up for Realtor.com Enhanced through Chris, because those are places that you can do things that will cause people to see your listing and ask for more information, especially now with the 5 Street component of, have any of you taken that training yet with Chris? Encourage you to do that. I'll get him signed up in July as well, but even one-on-one, get with him. He can help you sign up your Realtor.com Enhanced, especially for new agents. It's dirt cheap. Sarah, I think you're still in the basic, the least expensive, because even though you've been in the business a while, the listings with Roy Wheeler have only had 3 or 4, so you're probably in that lowest, and it's absolutely worth it. And then the thing I didn't realize when Roy Wheeler paid to add 5 Street to it, is it's not just with Realtor.com. It can be with Zillow, it can be with your website. Anytime somebody, if you set it up, Chris can help you with it, anybody that contacts you in regards to any place, automatic text goes out saying, hey, thanks for contacting me. I'll be back in touch with you within whatever your time frame is. If you're really good, you can say within the hour. Some people say within 10 minutes. Some people maybe say by the end of the day, right? But there's an automatic that you can customize text that goes out, and then you get notification that the person has asked for information. and either by text or email or maybe both, I'm not sure. But the point being is you can then follow up, and the fact that they're getting something from you right away and you're following up gives you a much better chance of converting that into a real life prospect, because if they don't hear from you, they're going someplace else. And they're going someplace else within a few minutes. They're clicking a number of different people, and whoever really, gets in touch with them, and then you incorporate what we talk about, building rapport, gaining credibility, showing people you care. That's what says, oh, this is the kind of person that I want to work with. And so you need to have buyers to work with them. You question yourself, what are you doing each and every day to get your share? Can't tell you how critical it is to preview. Know what's out there that's well priced and in good condition. Just previewing just gives you knowledge and gives you a chance to talk to people in a way that you can't if you don't know the market. You're sitting in an open house and you're trying to generate new buyers for yourself. And somebody comes in and they say, this isn't the right house for me. You need to have seen other houses. So I say, hey, Michael, I get it. What don't you like about this house? Or what are you looking for in a house that this house doesn't have? And they say, well, we really need a first floor master bedroom. Or we really need 4 bedrooms upstairs. We really need a lot that we can fence, or a fenced lot. And you say, you know what? Is this the right price range for you? Yeah, this is pretty much. Well, just the other day, a couple blocks away, I went and looked at a house that might very well suit what you're looking for. It's not open today, but go ahead and drive by it. And if you like it from the outside, just stop on back by here and I'll set up an appointment and we'll go take a look at it. If you haven't previewed, you can't do that. You just basically do the thing where you say, well, Sarah, thanks so much for coming in, and I understand what you're looking for. Let me pull some stuff up and I'll get back to you. Now, nothing wrong with that. But more powerful is, let me tell you what's out there already that I think might suit your needs. Go ahead and drive around a little bit. And then if you're interested in seeing it, come back to see me, or here's my information, call me, text me, Facebook message me, whatever, whatever it is.
I'm smiling because you really like that Lake Monticello line. You call me, I've seen them all. A few weeks ago.
Yeah, why do you say Lake Monticello?
Did you say a realtor at Lake Monticello?
No, it was a realtor in Northern Virginia. It was Oakton. But I might have used Lake Monticello as an example, that if you maybe it was because Michael Hilton was here and he lives in Lake Monticello.
Mm-hmm.
But again, generating buyers, what better powerful message for a buyer about Meriwether Hills School District, or Henley Middle School District, or whatever to say, are you interested in living here? If you are, call me. I've seen every one. I can tell you about any house that's on the market. And the point being is, this is where the previewing is critical. At first, it takes a long time because you got to go see them all. But once you do that and you create a little system that you've got the information, then you'll just look at the hot sheet every day, and maybe there's one every 3 days. So maybe you're looking at 3 a week. So initially, just like a computer, initially it takes a long time to do all the database entry. But once you have the database entry, your life is much easier. I can now go to contacts and know how to get a hold of any one of you. But it took me putting all that information in, to do that. Well, it's the same thing with previewing. You preview and you create this, from my standpoint, I'm old-fashioned, I don't think it's a bad thing to print out the listings in whatever format you read most easily in Paragon, and 3-hole punch it and put it in a binder. And then as you preview them, you print them out once you get preview, and as you preview them, you 3-hole punch those, you put in the binder with your notes on the sheet. So if somebody calls you up about a particular area, you can open up your binder and whatever you've written in the notes, it's kind of like a Rolodex. Pink flamingo in the front yard, blue and black shag carpeting in the family room, incredible light-filled family room, whatever. You see that and you look at it, and it takes you right back to the house, and you can remember it in a way that you wouldn't have if you hadn't made those notes. And then, as a house goes under contract, you make that you add the pending report, and when it sells, you add that. So you have 3 things: you have active, pending, sold. And so when somebody asks you about that area, you've got all that information in your place. Now, some of you guys are technologically way above me, and you can do that on your computers, and that's great if you can. But I think there's nothing like having that binder where you can open it up. Somebody calls up and says, "Hey, Alex, this Bill Smith, and we live over on Merriman Drive, and can you give us a call? We're thinking about selling our house. Well, Alex doesn't know that at all, but he has been previewing and maybe sending some information in that area. Opens up his binder to the tax records and sees Merriman, and says, oh, okay, they did this, and so he calls, well, hey, you know, yeah, I remember you. You're the house on the corner of blah, 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 and, you know, such and such and such and such. So it's not like it's cold, you know, and you gotta start from someplace. You put together the book and you start someplace, but a year later, if you're diligent and disciplined about it, man, you got a book that people would pay for of information that other people, 5 years, 10 years. I mean, incredible information that you have at your disposal. Plus the fact, just the whole aspect of writing notes, and so if somebody does say, I'm looking for this kind of house, you can go back there and say, you know what, let me see if this house is still active. And the nice thing is the market it's still active, but not as active. So things are staying on the market longer, so you got a better chance of previewing and seeing things before they actually boom and, you know, or it comes on the market, it's pending, and you never even got a chance to see it. In that situation, all you can do is you can print the report that you read the best and put it in there. So then make a note. This obviously was a private sale. Just went to the computer and was, you know, shown pending right away, and then when it sells, and it sold for $7,000 more than what it was listed for, or whatever the case may be. Make sense?
Yeah.
But the point being is, if you do that, that's where this line comes in. You then start placing an ad in that local neighborhood newsletter, or Crozet Gazette, or, you know, Lake Monticello, you know, media, or whatever it is, where people from there, or people who are interested in living there, are reading it, and they say, wow, Mike Moran's seen every house in this area. I should give him a call, because this is where we want to be. So that's what that is. Knowledge is the key. We're doing this on a regular basis, but you knowing the contract makes a huge difference in working with buyers, because you're going to be able to explain it in ways other agents aren't. Hopefully, again, what it says, how to fill it out, how to explain it. One of the things we've talked about is as you start to work with the buyer, one of the first things that you should do after getting them with the lender to make sure they're pre-qualified and they can actually do what they say they want to do is make a copy of the contract, go into Paragon and print out a draft contract that says draft on it. You don't want to get a blank contract because they go off and use it someplace. You don't want to be the one that when something goes wrong and they go, well, yeah, Mike Marino gave it that from Roy Will. You know, is he involved? Well, no, but he gave it to us, and you know, so we filled it out for sale by owner or whatever. And so somehow, some way, it can come back. So you want, you know, I didn't know that until we were teaching this class one day, and Keith said, you know, you can print that out, draft on it. But that's the best way to do it. But if nothing else, take one of the contracts we do here and just put it like diagonal line there through every page. And what you're doing is handing that to them at your first meeting and saying, hey, we're going to go look at a couple of houses today, and I'm going to get a feel for kind of what you're looking for. But the next time we get together, I want you to read through this, and we can have a conversation about it as we're out driving around. One, it gives you something to talk about. But two, what you're doing is you're getting them prepared to understand that contract in a way so that they're ready to write a contract. You're not having to explain it, because now they're not going to listen. They're totally focused in on, oh my gosh, can we really afford this? Or are we going to be able to buy this house because I know there are going to be other people interested in it, whatever. If you're on a property that could sell very quickly, this is a huge thing that puts you ahead of other people because they already know what the contract says. So now all you're doing is decide price. You get a letter from Jay or Mike or whoever you're getting a letter from, and you're getting that thing done in no time. Versus if you have to go back and explain through. So knowing the contract and knowing the market, and we've talked about the preview.
What are your thoughts on pre-filling out a contract with a client? Only like their name, if they get pre-approved, the amount that they would like their cap on their interest rate to be, other terms, contingencies. On, you know, if you're looking at a really competitive market, just having a contract that's already partially filled, so after you get done previewing, if you want to make a contract, you can either drop that contract back off at, you know, the other broker's office or what? What are your thoughts on having
I mean, I think you can do it. I think with the way technology is, it doesn't really save you a whole lot.
I don't,
You know, with transaction data or zip forms.
and that's my.
And you can put that, you can get that information in there and save the contract. You can
Right.
Save it. So there's nothing wrong with it, but
But if, if you're mobile and you're looking at 3 houses and you're finally like, okay, let's make one today in case something happens, just to have a paper contract.
Yeah.
Versus having to run somewhere to go to a coffee shop just to get internet, to get on transaction lists, for example, I think could,
oh, I see what you're doing that and printing it.
yeah.
Printing, well, that's fine.
I'm literally, like, I'm talking about bringing a printed version.
Oh, yeah.
As well as having, as I'm looking with partial information filled out, just in case. There are houses, like I was talking the other day, that previewed and they're gone the next day.
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah, you can do that. You can have a
there's
person.
there's nothing against having a
Yeah.
contract that's partially filled, as
Yeah.
long as obviously there's no signatures or anything
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
It's not,
Absolutely. No, that's fine.
I do agree, it might not save that much time, but really close competitive situation, it might.
Second, so you need buyers to work with them. You got to understand it. The knowledge is key. And the third thing is you need to take control from the very beginning. You're the professional. They're not. They may think they are because they've been on Zillow and Realtor.com and Car and all these places. And they've got all this information. But you're the professional, and you need to take control and you need to keep it. I see so many times where people lose control. And it starts with your own time, okay? It starts with your own time. You need to make sure they understand that you're going to work hard for them, but that doesn't mean that they're beck and call. Very different. So even to the point of when you're first setting up an appointment with somebody, hey, I'm so glad you called me, and yeah, I'm looking forward to helping you find a home. When would you like to go out? And they say, well, how about Friday at 2? And you look at your calendar's wide open. And I know it sounds silly, but I would say, you know what, I can't make it at 2, but I can do it at 3. Would that be okay with you? And I say, yeah, 3 is fine. And the whole reason is you're saying, 1, I have a calendar too. And 2, you're not going to just tell me when we're going to meet. Now, I've asked them when would be good in that situation, but it's just a small little thing, but from the very beginning, if they, oh yeah, I can do that. Oh, I'll move this around to make that happen. And that's not to say you're not going to move some things around to make it happen. But there should be non-negotiables in your calendar that can't be moved. And it's okay to tell them that. For me, the example I always use is when I was first in the business and had 2 little ones, and my wife, 5:30 was pulling her hair out. She knew I was driving in the driveway at 5:30. And I was going to come in, I was going to help out until 7:30. And so when somebody said, hey, can we go out and can you help me sell my house? Yes, I can. Or can we go out and look at properties this afternoon? I would say, I can't come, I can do it up till 5:30, but then I can't meet with you again. I've got an appointment that day until 7:30, the 7:45. And I can almost count on one hand the number of times people ask me what it was. I got something else scheduled, just like all week have other things scheduled.
They can also engage them as a partner.
Right.
Any more than that.
Well, and the people that did finally, they said, well, golly day, Michael, we've got to drive to DC. And so we get up early. Is there any chance that you could do it early? I can say, let me just be honest with you. I'm home with my family from 5:30 to 7:15 every night. I help bathe, I help blah, 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 blah. So 7:30 is really the best time for me. And most of them go, oh my gosh, absolutely. And I joke about it. Sometimes the only people who are upset with me were husbands who weren't coming home at 5:30, right?
Making me look bad.
Right, exactly. But it was a real commitment. All that is my part. It was non-negotiable on my calendar. And it was in my calendar, so I never forgot, right? Just as your own personal time should be in your calendar. If your personal time is from 7 to 8 in the morning, nothing should interfere with that. Somebody calls you, can you call me? Call you at 8. But the point being is you need to take control and make sure people understand that yes, you are going to give them the best service possible, but that doesn't mean calling them at midnight or, whatever the case may be. Use buyer agency, the law of agency, and your obligation to disclose to set up an appointment. Do not go just meet them at a house. Not just from a time management standpoint, but a safety standpoint. Why in the world are you going to somebody's house, a strange place, to meet somebody you've never met before. It makes no sense to me. One, it doesn't show any professionalism. You know, when you go to talk to an accountant or talk to a lawyer or whatever, you set an appointment, you go meet with them, right? And the same thing in this situation. And what you can say is, hey, if you can't just do it on your own, you can say, hey, I just want to let you know that I'd be happy to go show you the house in Forest Lakes, but could we meet at the Starbucks on Brookmont, like a half an hour before? Because the law in the Commonwealth says that I have some information I have to give you before I can show you a property. And the biggest thing is that you have the right to be represented. And if I'm not going to represent you, you need to know that. And what it does is it gives you an opportunity to kind of set the stage for how you're going to work with them. And the nice thing is, although I don't agree with it, the nice thing is the law now says you don't have to get something signed at that first meeting anymore. You just have to disclose and tell them that they have the right. So when you're first meeting them, you can meet them at Starbucks and you can talk about the law and talk about the fact they have the right to be represented, and that what you'd like to do is build rapport with them, gain credibility with them, show them that you care so that they want to use you. You can earn the right to be their agent. And when you've done that, then you're going to have a form that they're going to need to sign.
So this is something I'm completely unaware of. So you never meet your client the first time at a potential.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't meet them at the office or another public setting. You don't know that person. They can, more often cases, unfortunately for women, it could be a dangerous situation. But even for you as a man, it could be. You never know. Someone could be. They think realtors have.
So the primary reason is safety.
No, the primary reason is law says, the agency law says that at the first substantive discussion, you are to let that person know that they have the right to be represented. If they're not, that they aren't. And that the law is very clear. It's the first substantive discussion. If you're showing a house, it's substantive. So before that, there has to be that conversation. The safety part is absolutely part of it, though. Okay. The other part that people don't even think about, and I've already talked about this a little bit, is time management. Why in the world am I meeting somebody in Forest Lakes to show them a house? I don't even know if they qualify to buy a house there. I don't even know what their situation is. And here's the thing. If they're a tire kicker, somebody that's just in town for the weekend and just wants to see that house, they're not going to want to meet with you before. They just want to go see that house. If they're a tire kicker, they don't want to spend that time learning things because they just want to see the house. If they're somebody who was trying to case the house but maybe burglarize it because they've heard it's vacant, they don't want to be seen in public with you. Because if something happens, you're going to have entered the house with your keypad. It's going to say, hey, Michael, we had a burglary in the house. Do you remember seeing anything funny? Who were you with? And you're going to be able to describe it, and other people at Starbucks or here or wherever they can describe them. So there's that aspect of it. So tire kicker, somebody that's case enjoying, or somebody who wants to do you harm, they're not going to want to come in here and have you say, hey, Mary, I want to introduce you to Sarah. She's somebody I want to be showing property to. They don't want to have people see them publicly. But the bottom line, clearest thing is the law states that you have to. It's very clear. And it's been that way since buyer agency began in the 90s. At some point in time, not the first showing, but after you've kind of earned the right, you want to make sure they're going to only work with you. And one of the first questions you should be asking them, even before showing the first property, if they call you up or email you or whatever, the first thing you say, are you working with other agents? If they say yes, yellow flag. Because why are you calling me then? If they say yes, say, have you signed anything in regards to working with an agent? Yes, I have. Red flag. Because what that probably means is they're obligated to an agent through an explicit right to represent form. May not be. It may be just a form that they sign saying that they understand they have the right to be represented, but there's no intent, there's no contract that's been established because of this. But to ask that question, just happened the other day. I was sitting here on Saturday morning, somebody called in here. And I forget who was on, but they were talking to him, and they said, thank you so much for calling in. And yeah, I'd be happy to give you that information. By the way, are you working with an agent? Yes, I am. Oh, really? What kind of relationship do you have? Well, we've been working with them for quite some time. Well, then why are you calling here? Well, because they're on vacation. They're at the beach or wherever they were. And they can't show me that house. So I'm trying to find somebody else that will show it to you. So the response very professionally is, you know what, thank you so much, but what I would do is I would call that office and ask your office, that office, who's covering for Mike, and get them to show it to you. And if they don't know, then ask for the broker and say, I'd like to see this house, my agent's on vacation, whatever. But people don't even think. They just think you're there to go out there willy-nilly and show them property. You know, and then their agent's gonna get home from the beach house, you know, that they've been there for a week or 10 days, and they're coming home for a couple days before they go back to the beach house. And they'll show the property to them and write a contract, and whatever you did is nothing. But the
So have you
problem,
ever heard of that happening and that agent then showing the house, even knowing that the client might have a signed contract with somebody else? I mean, does this happen?
you mean people that go ahead and show it anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's the recourse?
Well, there's two recourses. One is they're an exclusive right to represent agreement with another agent. Therefore, they're obligated to pay them a commission whether they help them buy it or not. So for you doing it, what you're doing is you're putting that purchaser in a bad place, because if you were to show that house and they made the decision to buy it that day while the people were at the beach house, you're still fine because you've done that. But what the other agent then can come back to that buyer and say, hey, look, you bought that house from Michael Marino, but I have an agreement with you through September 30th. That if you buy a house, you're paying me a commission. So out of service to that person, you need to explain to them, well, you've got something in writing. I can't work with you
No,
unless
I
you.
meant the other way. So now the first guy who's got the exclusive right to sell, what is his response to the Jamoni that showed these people the house?
He just, nothing. He comes back, he shows them the house, he writes a contract, and the person that showed him the house is out of luck. Because what you have is exclusive right to represent, and then you have a thing what's called procuring cause. Procuring cause is the time, date, stamp when somebody makes a decision to buy a house. And whoever the agent is in that situation, who moves them effectively to writing a contract and ultimately consummating that sale, is the procuring cause of that transaction. So you can show a house, but if they go back to their agent, just because you show them the house, they go back to their agent, the agent comes back and shows that house, and they say, yeah, we want to buy this, and he writes the contract. That's the procuring cause, right?
Right.
The other side of it is that, yeah, I understand that you have an agreement with those people, but I'll show this house, and then they say, oh, well, we want to buy this today. I said, well, you've got an agreement with these people. You've got to get out of it before I can help you, because I don't want to put you in a position where you're going to owe commission fee. You know, you're going to owe these folks commission. I'm getting paid by the seller, right? If this thing goes through. But what's going to happen is you're going to have this other agent who's going to be upset, and so bottom line is buyers need to understand the consequences of what they're doing. But the sooner you can make sure they're going to work only with you, the better. You may choose, just because you're watching that particular market and it's not taking you a lot of time, you may choose to kind of work along with somebody for a while. But just understand that time is not going to be well spent if they end up ultimately buying from somebody else. So like at Roy Wheeler, you show the property and then and you want to get something in writing, but they're not ready to sign the exclusive right to represent. We have a form called what is the form
It's the
called?
one-time show.
Yeah, how to
With the actual name.
how to work. Hey, it's one page.
It's in the,
Establish it. Is it in there? Yeah. How we do business. How we do business, and it talks about buyer representation, it talks about seller representation, and they're not ready to sign the exclusive right to represent. You say, okay, well, let's get you to sign this form that says, if I find you a house and write a contract that you're going to allow me to be the buyer representative, they're going to check that box and sign it. Now you've taken care of the law. You decided who the principal was, right? This is going to be a buyer. You disclosed it to them, I will represent you, and then you get it in writing. The best way of getting in writing is through the exclusive right to represent, because then that is saying that they'll only work with you. But at least get the how we do business sign that says, if I find you the right house, that you'll let me represent you. They sign that, and now you've got that taken care of. Convince them they need you, whether it's a resale, new home, or for sale by owners. Another reason why it's so important to get with somebody prior to showing property. If you go to the YouTube channel that Chris has set up, I'm pretty sure that the link is on there to Sue Rear's discussion on how she does that interview. It's phenomenal. She sits down and talks with people for an hour and a half before she ever shows them anything. And she's just learned if she doesn't do that, she gets bit on the butt more often than not. So she just says, if you're not willing to do this, then I'm not willing to work with you. But go back and watch her talk about that because it's really very good. If it's not there, pretty sure it is there. But the point being is, you want to have that conversation. You want to talk to them about for sale by owners. You want to talk to them about new homes because you want to know what they think about that. Well, why in the world would I want to use you if it's a for sale by owner? You know, that's what it is a for sale by owner. Well, the reason that is because most for sale by owners will pay a commission. If I bring you to that house, they will pay a commission. Now let me write a contract for you. You won't be, in a situation where you're waiting for an attorney to draw up something, and you're going to have representation. And the bottom line is that most for sale by owners are willing to pay a commission. So what I would do is, if you see a for sale by owner you're interested in on Zillow or just driving down the road or whatever, just let me know. I'll contact that for sale by owner and say, hey, it's Sarah Paczynski here, we're a realty company. I'm looking at a lot of properties in this community in this price range. I see that you've got your house on market by yourself. Yes, I do. Are you, paying a commission to realtors? Yes, I am. Great. Could I come by and see the house, preview the house, and get you to sign a form that says that if I bring you an acceptable offer, you're willing to pay a commission? Sure. You go over there, do it.
And that form is called what?
That's the one-time showing form. I should know the name of it, but basically it just says it has a certain address and commission and that kind of thing. But you want to get that in writing prior to, because you don't want to have it put in the contract because you're not a principal of the contract. You're a party to the contract. In fact, you're not a principal of the contract. You could put in other terms. Seller agrees to pay buyer agent 3% of sales price at closing. Both buyer and seller could cross that out and initial it, and you're cooked because you got no agreement from anybody. So you get that agreement ahead of time that they're willing to do it, and then that's between you and the seller. You would provide that to the seller attorney, and your commission would come out of the seller's proceeds. Again, go ahead.
No, I just have
Sure.
sort of a different scenario.
Right.
So I was trying to work up for sale by owner out in Crozet, and they did not want to work with it. They just wanted to see what would happen. The market was hot. This was a couple months or so ago.
Right.
And there was a Charlottesville agent who put out one of those, like, I have buyers looking for this, this, and this. Does anybody know of anything?
Right.
Well, I did, because so I kind of set them up, ended up, her buyer wrote a contract sight unseen, but they bought the house, everything. That's just like being cooperative.
Okay, so what you should have done. Okay, a great question. So you know of something, you contact that agent and say, look, I know something that may work, and I can put you in touch with that person, but if it works out, you pay me a referral fee.
Okay.
And then you get something right from that agent that yes, I'll pay you a 25% referral fee, so you get compensated for the information that you get. I thought where you were going, same sort of scenario, you work with a for sale by owner, is just start building a relationship with that for sale by owner, which is basically what you did out of the goodness of your heart. You put the two together, and the agent's great, the buyer's great, the for sale by owner is great, and you're great because you feel good about it,
Right.
but you didn't get compensated for it. So the way you get compensated is, like I said, and you want to get that in writing from the other agent. However, and again, I think I sent this, if I didn't, again, go to WINA.com podcast and go to my podcast on thinking about selling your home yourself. Listen to this before you do. And I did a whole show on how to go about selling your house yourself. And if not, why a realtor is important. So I did give tips to the for sale owner, but I also talked about the importance of a realtor. The thing about that is listen to that, because you get some good information as you're talking to for sale owners. There's also a great link to send to them. Oh, by the way, let me send you this link. My broker has this radio show, and let me send you this 24-minute link on thinking about selling your house around, just give you tips. I just did it in our neighborhood in Still Meadow. There's a for sale by owner there. I've talked to her. I understand why she tries to sell her house. I don't agree with her, but I understand why she's doing it. But over the last few weeks, have been just staying in touch with her, and I'm hoping that if it doesn't sell, that she'll come to list with us. And Simone, who is working on it with me, because she's a former neighbor, will get a listing there. The point being is, again, building rapport, gaining credibility, showing that persona you care enough to put them in touch with a lender, to get them in touch with an attorney that you trust that could draw the thing up if they are able to sell themselves, give them ideas on where to advertise. Don't give it to them all at once. Always having a reason for giving them new information. Hey, maybe I could come by one day and take a look and maybe give you a few tips on staging. Or, I saw the pictures, online, and they're not so good. So let me recommend to you, this particular type of property would be great to have some drone photography. Let me put you in touch with John Hancock, and get a minimum. John Hancock's a drone photographer from Richmond that we have a contract with, who does great work. He's a little bit more expensive than some of the stuff he does. It's phenomenal. And there are other people that you can use. But the point being is, every week or so, having a reason for following up with that person so that you're building rapport, you're gaining credibility, hopefully earning the right that when they do decide to list with a realtor, that they're going to give you a chance to do it.
I saw the first that I've been watching in the price range I'm looking for buyers, the first for sale by owner finally was listed in the MLS about maybe a week ago.
Not yet less.
Yeah, they finally came.
Right.
They went to the listing.
Okay.
So, phew, kudos
So
to
you say, what do you mean for selling?
kudos to the listing agent that finally broke that.
Right.
And whether it was a friend or enough of other agents who were trying to pick up the FISBO, just by doing what you're talking about. But it's the first one that I've seen since being a realtor that, I had clients who were looking at it because it was only on Zillow. Of course, it's not in the MLS, so we found it. And
Right.
They didn't want to look at it, and for many reasons, but it did list. So someone did the right thing.
Well, and I'll tell you, the statistics, and teach a class on for sale by owners and expirers. The statistics show, we're always talking about how to differentiate ourselves. The statistics show that by the third contact, you're one of two realtors that are still in touch with the for sale by owner. There'll be people that reach out to them first, say, no, I'm not interested, no, I'm not compensating, blah, blah. You do something else. By the third contact, there's only one or two of you that are still staying in touch with them. And with every contact you make, you're putting yourself in unless they have a personal relationship they've already agreed to.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it's something you're going to want to ask.
They might have had an agreement with an agent that, hey, we're going to try and invest it for the first 60 days. If it doesn't work out, we'll give it to you.
Right, I had that other FISBO that was out in Crozet. I finally convinced a lady that she needed an agent, and she ended up using Jamie White because that's who sold her the house. And she already had that relationship.
Yeah.
But
Well, you're good at getting that thing done. We just no, and again, but again, that's the important thing when you're talking to a buyer. Are you working with another agent? It's even when you're talking to your sphere of influence, you're reaching out to the people that you know and reminding them that you're in the business and that you're looking for business. And a hard question, but really important question to ask up front is, if you knew somebody was thinking about buying, or if you knew somebody in the neighborhood was thinking about selling, would I be the realtor you would call? Because I want to earn, if not, I want to earn the right to be that person. So you ask that question, and Michael says to me, well, Jamie White sold his house and he stayed in touch with me and we have a relationship, and I would use Jamie. Well, now I know I'm not going to get that business. I may continue to send something out there on a monthly basis in case Jamie screws up at some point, but I'm not going to engage myself and really try to build a relationship with that person because I'm probably never going to get that business. So many agents never ask that question because they don't want to know the answer. Well, it should be the opposite. You want to ask that question and know the answer so that they're best friends in the business or their mothers in the business, whatever, and there's no way on God's great earth that you're in the business, then you're not going to spend a lot of time with it. Now, again, sending something on a monthly basis is not a bad idea because you may just, and the other place you can work then is through the Leading RE network. Yeah, they're going to use Jamie here, but what if your mother's going to buy a house in Kansas City? So you send something out on a regular basis, reminding them, hey, I can help. If you know somebody who's thinking about moving anywhere in the area, to or from, I'm part of a network of brokers that I can help you find the right kind of agent. They may never even think about asking Jamie about that, because Jamie's never talked to them about that. They may never, see what I'm saying? That there still may be business that can come from that outside of themselves. It may even be that they're willing to refer you business, just not their business, because they're going to use Jamie. But yeah, I know my neighbor's thinking about selling. They don't even think about the fact that she could tell Jamie that. So whatever.
Maybe it's just my luck, but I have encountered several people who are not transparent about if they're working with an agent, who make you think that they're not, whether they want to be nice and not tell you they're already working with someone. But, people that had a contract for like a year or two that I thought I was really close with, and then you find out, hey, I bought a house, I use this agent, I didn't want to tell you how to hurt your feelings. It's like, I would have, I've wasted
So here's how you
multiple
handle it.
conversations.
Here's how you handle that. Right up front.
Yeah.
You're saying, if you were to buy a house, I know you're interested in buying a house, if you really get serious about buying a house, am I going to be the person that you use? And if I'm not, tell me, please.
Yeah.
Please tell me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I just need to know. And I want our friendship to be our friendship.
Yeah.
I don't want us having this thing.
That's the off the fence.
Just absolutely up front say, thank you for contacting me about and telling me you're thinking about buying a house. But what I really want to know is, am I the one you're going to use? If not, tell me. Yeah. Because I don't, and they're going to feel so grateful for the fact that you took them off the hook.
Right.
And you're not going to
Because
feel
it is
disappointed.
people
You're
that I
not.
would still like to, be friends with, or at least cordial with, seeing in the future. Yeah, it's only, maybe I've heard about it happening to me more than other people, but it's been like 2 or 3 different people.
No, and
So-
but the other side of it,
You ask them the questions
Oh, absolutely.
and they answer it.
They
Or
just
they
they
avoid
either
answering.
beat around the bush, or they don't answer it as.
so you ask the question.
Or
you
they
ask the question
yeah,
and you
lying.
say,
Essentially lying.
yeah, and what you ask the question and you say, you're not going to hurt my feelings.
Right.
I need to know.
And it's not about feelings. It's about, I want to leave you alone. I want to leave you alone
Right.
and spend my energy working
Right.
with someone else.
And then what you say to them, they say, well, actually,
But because
Alex, I appreciate you asking that question because, we probably will use this agent over here. Great. However, if you hear of anybody else who's thinking about buying or selling, would you feel comfortable referring me? So try to go about it that way. But I just think it's so important that, we just had 3 situations this week that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where agents thought they were going to get business from this person and they ended up not.
Right.
And in just incredible amount of time and energy, not just business-wise, but personally in people's lives when they were in struggles and things like that. And then they go and use another agent.
Right. Just as an example, like he knows agent.
Right.
But in those 3 cases, and 1 week, which sounds like a lot, were they misled
Absolutely misled.
by the seller?
Absolutely misled. At least from a standpoint of, beating around the bush. There was no, in one case, the agent had, well, in 2 of the 3 cases, agents literally had showed the people properties,
So
given them information in regards to what they need to do to stage their
And then
home.
found out they were working with somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and one, prior to, just matter of fact, they said, oh, we're going to list with this person.
It just sounds painful.
2 after the fact.
Oh,
really
pain, multiple levels.
Yeah,
I'd rather go through the pain than be wrong there.
That's right.
Just to find out.
Yeah.
So another scenario that I think you're about to touch on here next is, where are we right now?
We're explaining how you
Make
work,
sure
what to
we
expect
expect
when you
to
work.
work only with you. So it's a small town. Everybody knows everybody. Your clients are probably going to talk to another realtor at some point. At what point does it cross the line for another realtor when you have an exclusive right to buy or sell contract with those clients? Is that other realtor overstepping their boundaries?
When your buyer says, I've signed an exclusive right to represent with Alex Stornia and I'm working with them, and they keep on trying to press, well, you don't want to work with him.
Right.
That's stepped over.
Okay.
On the listing side, when the sign's in the yard and it's in the MLS,
Right.
you shouldn't be copying those
Right.
sellers.
Well, what if they're still talking in their, what recourse?
Who's talking?
Well, I'm just saying in
But
general.
I'd reach out, if you know for a fact that they're talking into your client's ear,
Yeah.
then you reach out to that agent and say, hey, I'm Alex Discordia.
But
my
it's
client's-
small enough of a town though.
It doesn't matter.
I do agree.
Think of the other way
They'll
around.
let them respect it.
Well, no, it's a small enough town that you know about it.
But what if they also have to work with them because of one of their companies being attached to that realtor? So they already have a different contract of business with that person.
Makes a difference.
But that person is then saying, well, why don't you work with me on this deal as well?
Again, once your client, and I would ask permission from the client, but once your client has told them, I'm working with Alex, I have an exclusive right to represent agreement with Alex.
No.
What they're doing over here with rentals or whatever,
Commercial leases.
commercial leases, whatever, but when they come back and say, why aren't you letting us do this?
Right. This
Then
person
you have
said
the
you
right
would
to
do
call
this.
that agent and say, very nicely,
Right.
I'm Alex, I represent these folks, I understand that you know that I have an exclusive right to represent them,
Right.
and yet you continue to ask them about why they're not using it, would you please stop? And if it happens again, now we're gonna call the broker, right? Because
Okay,
now,
I don't think I need to call
that's a
it
code of
at this
ethics,
point. But I just, you know,
but that's
I
a
have a
code of
feeling
ethics
that
violation.
but I also have a feeling with some of my generation, the younger, you know, I don't know, millennials, whatever, that are buying houses at a younger age, they know other realtors that are my age, and so the likelihood of this happening again is
It doesn't have anything to do with age, jobs.
no.
And
Fair enough.
it could also be that
Sorry for being
people
narrow-minded.
are not telling the other person that they do have an issue,
Yeah,
not
so-
to hurt their feelings.
Right, and
So just letting them talk, kind of letting them talk in their ear, but not.
I had that scenario going on now.
just want to handle those situations as professionally as
Sure.
possible, so that I'm not overstepping my boundary with speaking to the agent. Hey, guy, you might have forgotten, or they might not have told you, but they are my clients, and I'm working with them. I have an exclusive right. Or to my clients, for example, hey, I don't know if you've told that agent that you have an exclusive right, but at this point, you need to.
I had some friends that invited us over for dinner this past weekend. They had like a very wealthy home, and
The wealthy home?
it's a big home. It's a-
They're wealthy enough to have a big home. I was gonna say, how does a house?
Anyway, they started asking me a lot of questions, and they're not happy with their current person, and I was just kind of, and they're really, really good people. I don't think they mean any harm. They're just very frustrated. You know, like they're not doing
Is their
anything
house
about it.
listed currently?
The house is listed, and I was just straight up, I said, okay, really, not a lot I can do. I said, how long is your contract signed for? She said, till September 3rd. And I said, you know, it's keep things stay stagnant all summer. I said, let's really get into this. Maybe there is something. And I ended up, she said that she had called me back, actually, and said that they had talked to this realtor. They bought this house from this realtor, and they're still quite frustrated with her. They said that the realtor told her that if they want to move on, it's no problem to get out of their contract. Said you like kind of referred the whole thing to Jim McVeigh at that point because it was a bit out of my league, and I didn't want to make any mistakes. So I said, well,
You
should
gave it to
I-
Jen asking for a referral.
Yeah, well, more
Or
than
sharing
that,
it with them.
I'm using it as a learning.
Great.
experience.
As long as you're still involved.
It is a referral fee at least, but we're even talking about partnering out.
Right. So here's the thing. Absolutely no problem. You go to dinner and they start talking about it because they're bringing it up. You didn't. That's the first thing.
That's what Jim told me.
And or somebody can call you up on it and say, look, I'm not happy with our realtor. We're thinking about changing. Would you come over and talk to us how you want
You know what they did? They sent me and her listing agent. He had taken upon himself to do these 3D renditions where he walked to the house kind of thing, and asked us both for feedback.
On the same email?
Yeah. So I kind of told them itinerary. The reason why I didn't answer the email is they said it's a bit inappropriate. I said, well, you suggest you discuss this. They said, well, shouldn't she have offered this service? Why am I doing it myself? And I said, that's what you got.
So here's the thing. One is you did that exactly right. You know, you're currently listed with somebody else. I really can't get into this because I don't want to get into somebody else's business. However, should you think about changing realtors coming in, you know, near the end of August, we'd be happy to come and do a presentation. That's absolutely fine. Or they say, well, they say that we can get out early and we're thinking about getting out early. Well, then what you would need to do is, you know, we could arrange a time to come over and talk to you about how we market your house to get it sold. And if you wanted to do that sooner rather than later, that would be a conversation you'd have with the other company. say, I'm not satisfied, you're not having done what I thought you were gonna do, and therefore I'd like to terminate this. Can you please respond in writing and show me that it's no longer in the MLS? And once that happened, then you could move forward with doing paperwork and.
What she asked to do now, and I hope we did the right thing, Jim kind of green lighted it with me, was she said she would like to start interviewing some people. And that's what I mentioned, Jim. I said, if you're just interviewing, you want to meet somebody. And then I kind of placed it so that if that is the case, and I shared their contact information, if that's the case, reach out to him and he can respond.
Exactly,
So that they're going in, he's not.
that's exactly right, that's exactly,
And so Jim's kind of at this point waiting for that.
that's exactly.
This is a very interesting home, by the way. This is the one that used to be owned by Mr. Pate that started a building business.
Oh, Howard Pate.
Howard.
Yeah, Howard and Karen. Yeah. We mean, it used to be.
Well, they had sold the house to my friends.
Oh, okay.
Who is, my friends that a ton of work to.
Right.
They had an architect come in, his brother's a builder, man-made streets and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's really cool.
Just a couple quick things, and we'll close up for the day. Make them get at least pre-qualified. Have 2 or 3 lenders on whom you can depend. You want to have somebody that when the buyer's interested in doing something, that you can reach out to them on the weekend or whatever, and the lender's going to get back to you and provide you information. And if it's a lender that you know that they use, it's going to go to closing. And then this other thing that's really important, and we'll just walk through these last couple things. Your job is to help them buy the home they want at a price they want to pay. Don't make decisions for them or get in the way of them making a decision. What I mean by that is, if somebody wants to pay a little bit more for a house because they're going to live in it for a long time, it's not your job to talk them out of it. If they know that there's a railroad track behind it, but they're okay with that, then you provide that information to them and say, when you go to resell it, there are going to be some buyers not going to want that. That's all right. We like the sound of the train, blah, blah. Great, right? So many times agents overstep their boundaries and try to talk people out of stuff where they're ready to go. And your job is to help them get to where they want to go. The second one is don't let another agent's ego make you lose sight of your buyer's goals. There are agents out there that are going to try to, pigeonhole you and bully you and pressure you into things. And they may be in the business longer than you, and you go, oh my gosh, maybe I need to listen to this. No, you're responsible for what your buyer wants to do. And if you get in a situation where you are questioning because somebody's saying, well, it's always done this way, but you haven't heard me talk about it being done that way, then reach out to me and let's have a conversation. And you be able to go back and say, look, my managing broker is a pain in the tush, and he's really particular about the fact he wants things back in writing. That's the greatest example. People want to just negotiate by phone or by email or whatever. No, we want to get a counter initialed and provide it to the buyer so that the buyer then can initial the contract and then you blah, blah, blah. There's so many agents in most situations because they're just trying to save time. They don't want to have to wait to get the initials of their clients. They want to try to do all this. But what happens, and it just happened the other day, we've got a client that's really mad because the agent contacted us and said, would your seller consider these type of terms? And so our agent got in touch and said, yes. Well, guess what? The contract came in different than what the agent had said, because once they got to writing it, the buyer said, oh, well, I want this and I want this. So now the seller's mad because they thought they had a verbal understanding as to what they would accept. Well, verbal understanding is exactly what that is. It's an understanding. It's not an agreement. Oh, well, but we had this email that said that you'd accept this price. Yeah, you did, but
You changed what was on that?
Right.
The terms that were.
yeah. So don't let somebody else's ego, what you want to do is work with it, because if they've got a viable buyer or they are representing a seller or your buyer wants to buy a house, the last thing you want to do is get that agent mad and cause problems. So you want to stay focused on what it is your buyer is trying to accomplish, or stay focused on what your seller is trying to accomplish, and do your very best to stay objective and move people along to a satisfactory conclusion. Remember, you don't get paid until it settles. You always should be looking for the win-win. Everybody should be in this together. The agent should be trying to bring a contract together that's satisfactory to both buyer and seller so that it can get to closing and the agents get paid, the seller gets their money, the buyer gets into their new home. One of the things I always say jokingly when people are mad at the other client is, here's the good news: when you buy that house, they're moving out. You're not gonna have to live with them. If you had to live with them, then I agree with you. You know, you should be upset and you shouldn't be moving forward, but they're literally gonna move. And you're gonna move in, and vice versa. You're gonna move out before those people move in, so you don't have to like them. You know, it's Campbell's soup or Chef Boyardee on the shelf. It's a commodity, it's a house for sale now, it's not a home. Whatever we can do to get you the best price at the best terms is what we're trying to do. Obviously, it goes without saying, be a good listener, hear what they're looking for. You can't help them buy if you don't know what it's that they want. Make sure they're giving you the whole picture, going back to what Alex said. Be a good listener. And when they tell you that this is what they're looking for, when you go to show them property again, make sure that you're showing them that, or have a reason for why you thought this, because I've seen agents lose buyers because they think they know what they want, but they're not listening. And so they show them property that isn't what they have any interest in. Questions to ask: do you have a deadline to move? Are you going to be using finances? What concerns do you have? Are you ready to buy if we find the right house? Why or why not? What price range are you considering? What can I do to help you most? And the question is not here, which we need to add in here, is, you know, are you working with another realtor? That should be the first one. Are you working with another realtor? And making sure you got that taken care of. Know their desires and who and what will help make the decision. Read between the lines, answer questions with questions. You may think that the wife is making the decision, but the husband ultimately, when they leave, is making the decision, or vice versa. It seems like the husband's driving this thing, but then when you get home, wife says, I know you like this house, but I like this house. Do you want me happy at our house, or do you want me not happy with our house? You know, and it can be vice versa. I have a friend right now who they're trying to buy a house, and she really wants this house, and he doesn't really like that house. So they ultimately haven't bought a house yet, so they're renting instead because they couldn't decide on that. Remember, you're the professional. Don't let them make you forget that. They need your advice and expertise on what it will take to buy a home. Not as much, but we're still seeing from time to time the understanding of short sales. If you get that designation, that's great. You don't really see that class being offered that much anymore, but there is the accredited buyer representative, ABR, that's what it is. That's a really good designation to have. GRI, Graduate Realtor Institution, another really good designation to have. Explain what type of market they're in, whether it's a buyer seller's market will determine how much negotiating room they'll have. And again, knowing the market, previewing will help you do that. All right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the next one. Watch for it in the July calendar.
You know, it feels really good sometimes when you meet somebody and they're very loyal to a real estate. You know, they work with them. You know, it shows that potential for that kind of engagement.
And I applaud that. Thank you so much for telling me that. And that's the kind of clients that I want to have that are loyal. I think that's absolutely true. Yeah. Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Michael.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, can you shut that? Just close the. Yeah. Thank you.